Hi, everybody. Today, we're going to be testing out the last three of the Rupes Blue products. First up, Koch Chemie Protect Leather Care. So this is a leather protectant. It says if leather is very dirty, clean it first with a suitable cleaner, then dry it. Shake the bottle well. Apply a thin, even layer with a soft cloth or sponge. Leave to react and repolish where necessary. Do not ingest. Do not use if you're under the age of 18. So what I have here, this is a microfiber applicator pad. We're going to shake this up, and then we're going to apply some here. And we're putting this on the driver seat of my Honda Passport. So we'll start up here with the headrest, and you can see that it's going on um, with a wet look, but it does dry kind of matte. This is a 2021 Honda Passport. It has about 28,000 miles, 26,000 miles, somewhere right in that neighborhood. And honestly, Honda's leather seats, they're just not great. So, there's definitely some, I don't know, excess wear in the driver's seat of this car with very little usage. There's definitely some excess wear on the leather of the car with not a lot of usage. I mean, 25,000 miles isn't a lot for a car. 26, 30. We're still under warranty. And you can see there's like a lot of shiny spots. There's like these kind of pinch marks here. If you look down in this area, you can see that there's like a lot of cracking and stuff, not where it's physically broken all the way through, but like there are just large um, gaps where I don't know, it just doesn't look new. We compare this to the passenger seat, which this car often has just one person in it because I drive it to work. And there's just a heavy amount of wear. The car does have a function where the seats move back and the steering wheel moves up when you get in it. But even that doesn't seem to hide the wear or reduce the wear. So this is one of those things where I'm not necessarily thrilled with Honda's quality. Let's take a look at the seat back because this is now drying. So what we can see is we've got a nice matte finish here. There's still some glossiness up in here where the leather is kind of getting worn out, and we can see that this is getting like shiny, like it's being worn off. I'll hit that again just to see if it gets a little bit better. I've got the same thing right over here. Um, but you can see that it's leaving a nice matte finish, which is cool. It's what I would prefer is a matte finish. That's how leather should be from the factory. You shouldn't be sliding all over your seats when you're driving it. So I'm going to hit this with a second coat. Every other seat in the car I just did with one coat in order to test the product. So we'll let this driver's seat dry for a second. Take a look at the passenger seat here with me. So we can see on the passenger seat, we've got a very nice, like a satin or matte finish, not a lot of gloss, looks really good, looks like new. The back seat is very similar, as you can see. We've got hardly any wear back there, all looks good, even though that's where Eva normally sits, and she's really good about kicking the seat. Seems like it's doing a fairly good job of making the seat go back to being nice and matte. I've gone over this seat a lot over the years, not with aggressive cleaners, but with Keller Lock or Geon Leather Shield or um, Chemical Guys Leather Protectant Serum. And like I said, I am not thrilled about the amount of wear that we see on the seat. And it's just one of those things that is kind of disappointing for me with Honda right now. Their materials quality, I just don't think it's up to par with a lot of the other competitors and other vehicles that you can buy on the road. And, I realize that, our Mercedes is a $60,000 car. Like that's not lost on me, but this is a $45,000 car, 45 to 48, depending on what options you choose. They're probably over 50 right now for a brand new one. So, I feel like if you're an economy brand, so Honda, Toyota, Kia, Hyundai, um, we won't talk about the American brands in here, but if you're an economy Japanese brand, Nissan too, let's also include them, or Korean brand, um, I feel like it's time to step up your game with material selection. If you're selling SUVs at $50,000, people are going to want to keep those for longer. They're going to be spending more money on them. And the barrier to go from a $50,000 Honda to a BMW or a Mercedes Benz or a Volvo isn't that bad. So, this was a really, really good lease incentive, or maybe it wouldn't have been the car for me. It might not have been what I went with. For us, this is a $500 a month lease. So that's relatively inexpensive. You're talking about a $25,000 car on a 5-year buy would be about that same amount of money on a monthly payment. But it just feels like they could have done better with their materials. As you could see now, it looks a lot better. So a lot of the shininess is gone here. We still have this kind of puffed out bolster, and I'm not that big. I'm 5'10", 5'11", about 210 pounds. And this is like all puffed out after 25,000 miles. There's a lot of bolster like deforming that has happened here. Uh, but the leather appearance does look significantly better after the Koch Chemie Protect Leather Care. So I think this is a good product and it worked fairly well here in this case. Let's go on to the next one. That's going to be a plastic protectant, and I'll show you that next.
So the next product we're going to be taking a look at is Koch Chemie Nano Magic Plastic Hair. Now, the name is a little misleading, I think, on this. If you look at the image and you see the picture of the car there, so all of these products are labeled so that the blue portion is where they can be used on. I talked about this in the first video. So in this case, the tires are blue and the plastic on the bottom of the car is blue. So based on that, this can be used on plastic and tires. So the very first thing that I think you want to do is use some all-purpose cleaner and just clean off the plastic panel. I cleaned my tire already too. You can see the black here on the rag. And we're going to use a microfiber sponge, one of these. Now, this has some trim stuff on this side, so I'm not going to use that portion. I'm going to use the back side of it. I can't remember what's on it, probably like VRP or something like that. This is an older sponge. But put this on. Now, this is not a dyed product. As you can see, it's not black. So the first thing that I want to do is let's hit the tire. And this is watery / runny. So in my opinion, you want to use something like this, not a brush. I like brushes. I like using those for thicker tire dressings, but not for thin ones like this. And then if we read the instructions, it says apply the product to a clean sponge, spread evenly, leave to dry completely. Where necessary, repolish with a soft cloth. Do not use on surfaces where slipperiness is undesirable, e.g. pedals, steering wheel, tire treads. Do not ingest, do not use by anyone under the age of 18. So I keep finding that interesting. It says that on several of the Rupes products. And I don't remember other brands of products saying things like that, but anyway. The next piece we're gonna hit is this. So I've talked about this in other videos. The minis have a condition that most people call tiger striping, where you see these like white stripes that happen here from being out in the sun. And you can bring them back by using a heat gun, which feels strange because it's like, well, didn't the heat cause it in the first place? No, it was actually UV oxidation. But on the other side of the car, I recently did a video using DIY Detail Restore and Protect, which is a like a ceramic protectant product, and it worked very, very well on that, but it actually contains a little bit of black dye. Like it makes your sponge black. This does not do that. So it's gonna be interesting to compare this versus that and see what the longevity is like. So let me hit this other piece right here. This ends right there. And then, I don't know, I guess we can keep going with this. So as you can see, it goes on very quickly. We've got this glossiness to it. I would describe the tires as like a satin or semi-gloss, like if you're thinking of paint sheens. It's a little bit shinier than I like it typically, but we can just let this sit for another minute, and then I'm gonna grab a towel and just kind of go back over it because it mentions that you can do that. So we'll do that with the other side of this towel. This side has APC on it, this side does not. I do have a little bit of plastic here. I have to bring the rear tires in slightly on this car. I did 15mm spacers all the way around to make my my tire fitment flush, really because I had to do 12 as a minimum on the fronts in order to clear my brake calipers with these wheels. So I did 15s on the back as well, but the backs actually don't need any spacer. I just think they look good. But with 15mm and these new tires, these Bridgestones, I get just a tiny bit of rub, like it's right here. And you can see there's like little pieces of plastic there. So with the car lowered, and anyway, I could probably have the camber turned in slightly and would probably fix that too, but. So we've given this a chance to dry. This bottom part is dry. It's not greasy. So we'll hit it once with this towel and we'll see how that looks. And that looks good, actually. So it's, once you've rubbed it, it went from being a semi-gloss to maybe like an eggshell, like slightly less glossy. I wouldn't call it matte, but I wouldn't call it semi-gloss. This is still shinier than it was, but that's okay. Like I'm actually okay with this being shiny. Now let's give this a chance to dry. Just gonna give it, like 10 minutes and come back, and then we'll wrap up this portion of the video. I wanna see if it feels greasy once it's had a chance to dry. But I do like the overall appearance, and the tiger striping did appear to go away, which is great, and that's what I was going for. So this does seem like a product that works reasonably well. All right, so we've given it a few minutes to dry completely, and it is dry. So, my fingers do not have anything on them, even when I rub it hard. So it does appear as though it absorbed into the plastic pretty well. Same thing here on these panels that I didn't buff off. So I don't think that it's going to attract dust and dirt to it like some tire dressings or plastic dressings can. They get like a little sticky with like protection, but we'll give it a chance. We'll take it out this week, drive it around a little bit. We'll see how it works, and we'll go from there. But overall, the installation was easy. It doesn't have again, it doesn't smell bad, but it doesn't smell good. It's just fine. This kind of goes right back to the previous video where I did the wash sequence with the Koch Chemie Blue products, and I said they're kind of like quintessentially German in that they do their job. They do their job well, but they don't smell good. They don't really do anything to enhance the user experience, but they are effective products. So, if that's what you're looking for, they have great function, but maybe not you know, they're just not, I don't say they're not bad to use, but they're also not like exceedingly good to use. Like they're trying to make the user experience better. It just seems like they're more focused on what they want the products to do and do well. All right, so for the third and final product we're going to be testing today, that is their one-step polish. So I'm cleaning this panel with panel prep spray. I'm using DIY Detail panel prep spray, mostly because I had it out already from the Restore and Protect video that I did. So I have some horizontal scratches here. I have a defect here. I've never been able to get this defect out, and I've tried several times before. This car doesn't have any protection on it, so I should be able to get a reasonable cleanup on it. Okay. So we can see we've got a lot of spider webbing here. We've got some horizontal scratches here. This is a panel that I really haven't messed with all that much, except for this guy here that I tried to take out. So here I have my Mirka. So the Mirka is a 3-inch polisher. I'm going to run it on the slowest speed. I've got a Rupes yellow foam pad on here. I'm going to dampen the pad slightly before I start using my Lake Country pad washer. Okay. Inside my pad washer, I have Snappy Clean Boost. So here's the polish. We'll shake it up nicely. I'm going to work on a section right here, and we're going to see how well it cleans up. And there's a couple things I'm going to be looking at. What's my cutting action? How does it clean? Does it leave it hazy? This is a medium pad, so you know, if I went to a white pad, does it clean up a little bit better? Do I have to adjust my pad? This is a one-step. This is typically what I would use for a one-step. And then also, like if I get some on the trim here, does it turn the trim white? Does it rub off nicely? You know, that kind of stuff. Does it fling all over the place? So I'm going to put a tiny amount on the pad. You do have to shake this pretty well or it comes out really watery. So I'll just wipe this in. And like I said, slowest speed. So dab it out here a little bit. And really I'm focusing on this area here. Okay, so we've got our polish spread out. I'm going to kick up the speed, just one, so that'll be like 5,000 RPM. I'm using very, very little pressure. My front hand is basically just guiding the polisher. Do the standard crosshatch pattern. So approaching the limit of my working time here. I can actually look through this polish and I could still see that there are quite a bit of scratches in this general area. Let me kick up the speed one and see if I can just go over that. Okay, so let's take a polish rag, wipe this off. So didn't have any difficulty removing any residue. It's definitely better, like it's definitely an improvement. But I do still have some spider webbing, I do still have some marks here. So it's really not an aggressive polish. Now, that being said, it is a polish, right? It specifically says polish on it, not compound. Compound would typically be something a little bit stronger. I could try this on something like a wool pad and see if it works a little bit better. What's interesting about it is when you read the instructions, it says, polish for a unique high gloss finish, maintains and conserves in a single step, and protects durably against aggressive environmental factors. Apply a thin, even film with a soft sponge and leave to dry. Buff remaining polish to a high gloss with soft cloth. For aftercare, we recommend Nano Magic shampoo. It's almost like they're treating this like a wax, but they're basically wanting you to apply it with a sponge and then buff it off when you're done. But it's not like a carnauba based wax, so it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's probably pretty similar to Koch Chemie makes a product called Microcut and Finish. But Microcut and Finish, I do have it and I used it quite a bit. It finishes up a little bit better than this. So let me grab a different pad. This is a blue wool pad. So let's take this blue wool pad, do the same thing. Let's get it a little bit wet, thaw it out. Okay, speed it up, go from there. Now, wool is going to be more aggressive than foam, and typically a wool pad is going to leave some like micro marring, so it'll take out the heavier scratches, which I only have a few, but it'll leave everything kind of hazy. At least, again, that's my experience with wool in most polishes or compounds. So hit that a couple times. Let's see how it looks. All right, so that did much better on the scratches, but let's see how it finished. Actually, the finish is really good. Okay. So maybe this is a suitable one-step polish. So looking at this versus looking at this, I can definitely see a lot more of like the spider webbing and swirling here. I wouldn't exactly call them holograms, but like the random spider webs, tiny micro scratches. Here I still have them, but they're a lot finer. There are a lot of pieces of it that are missing, and then there are also, they're like rounded off a little bit more so that you don't see them if you're not looking like with a light like this. So, I mean, it did work well. Now again, this is a consumer level polish, so having something that is less aggressive instead of having something that is more aggressive is actually preferable in my mind. And that's probably what they're going for here. It definitely leaves some protection behind, just like they described that it will. So, you know, that's something that can both be a positive and a negative. Like this is a lot slicker and smoother, and you could see like little fingerprints here from me rubbing it with my fingers. Then this area over here is that was just panel prepped and wasn't polished at all. So if you're doing it as a one step and you're only going to apply it one time, if you decon the car, you panel prep the car, and then you go ahead and polish the car with this one step polish, you are going to leave a little bit of protection behind, which makes sense because this line doesn't have wax in it. So what they're expecting you to do is go over it with that. That's going to leave behind a little bit of protection, and then you're going to wash it with the NMS shampoo, and the NMS shampoo has a little bit of protection in it as well. So they're relying on some level of protection being left behind by the products that you're using instead of having a specific protection. They don't have a ceramic coating. They have a quick detailer, which has a little bit of slickness in it, but I think this actually has more. And, you know, and not having a specific protection layer, like a carnauba wax or a sealant or anything like that. Now, we didn't end up with any dusting, so that's good. You can see here I don't have any dust. My trim looks good. I even hit the top of the trim purposefully with the pad, and I was able to just kind of wipe that right off without an issue, so that worked out well. I don't have any dust on my window or anything like that. Like, I do have dust, but it's from the actual dust. So that worked very well. So all in all, I think that it's an effective one-step polish. It's probably not for me, but it is, you know, designed for the prosumer, consumer line, or prosumer/consumer person who is going to be working on their own vehicle. Maybe just wants to enhance the finish slightly in order to apply something, or maybe they're just not concerned with applying a ceramic or that type of protection, and this is enough to enhance. Just for comparison purposes, I'm gonna run out my pad here, and I'm going to use Koch Chemie Microcut. So this is the finest polish that they make, meaning like the least amount of cut in their professional line. So this is M302. They have one called Microcut and Finish, which is the same thing, but it has wax in it, like kind of like this does. So I'm gonna hit it with this really quick. I'm just gonna see what the difference is in cut using this, their finest polish in the professional side, versus using their single one-step polish. And this right now is actually my favorite finish polish. I really, really, really enjoy Microcut and Finish. Put a little bit too much on the pad, unfortunately. You can see I got some up there on the window. That's not the polish's fault. That is my fault for putting too much on it. Actually, let me go out here and get a little bit off. Okay, so we've got pretty excellent working time there. Let's remove with this. All right. So, kind of like I said to expect with the wool pad, I've got a little bit of haziness here. So if we look here, I've got more clarity, more depth. I've got some more haziness there. So normally I would do a first step with a wool pad with a compound of some kind, and then when I was done, I would use a finish polish to go over and enhance and restore the shine. So this definitely cut more than the one step did, which makes sense, but this is still their finest polish that they have in their standard line. So let me apply a little bit to this yellow pad. We'll hit it again, and I should be able to restore the clarity there and kind of get this back to normal. And I am going to polish out this whole panel eventually. I'm just using this as a test right now, so I'm not concerned with perfection. I'm concerned with testing these effectively, and I don't want it to look strange right now. Okay, so we can see there the difference between the professional and the end user polish system. This definitely cut more, This definitely resulted in a higher level of gloss. It doesn't have protection left behind, like it's squeaky as you can hear, but it definitely did a better job of polishing than the One Step did. But again, the One Step is designed to be used as a polish and protection all in one by consumers. So I can understand, like it's a different product for a different market. So what they actually want you to do is something along these lines. Put it on a piece of foam or sponge, apply it by hand, which really isn't going to remove many scratches. It's just not. You need a little bit of working and heat to remove scratches. You need a ton of heat, but you need some. So they almost want you to treat it like it's a wax. So we'll hit that. Dried pretty quick. And then we can remove it. And we've got our slickness back. So kind of interesting. Again, you know, is this product line for me? Probably not. I'm not their target audience. But for somebody who doesn't have a polisher, doesn't want to polish their car, wants to provide a little bit of protection, wants to enhance the gloss slightly, this could be a good option for them. But you know, for me, I would prefer using a One Step with some sort of protection behind it, as opposed to using a polish and protectant all in one. If I was going to buy a polish that was a polish and protectant all in one, I think I would do the micro cut and finish. It's about the same money. And it's like a true polish with some protection in there. It can cut a little bit more if you're using like a wool pad or a microfiber pad than this does. So this is a little bit safer, but I think something like this is a little bit more universal and you can use it for more things. All right, so that's a wrap for the Koch Chemie Blue line. In the first video, we talked about the labeling, the products, the bottles, the sprayers, all of that. I really do like the packaging. I like the blue bottles. It does make it a little bit deceiving. You don't know how much is left in the bottle without like shaking it around, but it does look full on your shelf at all times. And if you look at my shelf right now, like I want to top this off and I want to top off this degreaser and this panel wipe because those bottles aren't full and it looks inconsistent across my shelf. So that is a nice thing about them being on display. Sprayers work really, really well. They're excellent sprayers. One thing that I do like about them, they have a stream and a spray, like they're just a standard, you know, 4 square sprayer, but they do not spray when you squeeze the bottle. And that is really important when you've got a lot of temperature swings up, down. I've had bottles that leak on my shelf and then they end up etching your shelf if you've got stainless or even the wood. I've had this wood finish messed up before by certain sprayers. The Koch Chemie ones don't do that. Some of the Tolco ones do, some of the other brands do. In the second one, we did a wash. We used the insect and dirt remover, reactive wheel cleaner, Nano Magic shampoo, all-around quick detailer, Refresh cockpit care, multi-interior cleaner, and speed glass cleaner. All of those products worked reasonably well. They didn't have a fantastic user experience, meaning they don't have these delightful smells and aromas that you're getting when you're spraying them, but they all worked effectively and they did their job well. I found it strange that they didn't have a drying aid or something that provides protection. They have the quick detailer, which does seem to provide some small amount of protection, but it's not a glossy, slick exterior when you're done with it. The Nano Magic shampoo leaves behind a small amount of protection as well, kind of the same thing. You don't end up with a really glossy car or a really slick car using this product line. 2 standouts that I really did like from that video were multi-interior cleaner and speed glass cleaner. I found that those worked really, really well. And today, obviously, we talked about the Nano Magic Plastic Care, the Shine Speed Polish, and the Protect Leather Care, and how those functioned as well. So at the end of these tests, I like to ask myself, well, you know, who is this line for? and which products do I want to hang on to versus which ones do I not necessarily care about. So I would say this product line is for you know, somebody who's just washing their own cars, general consumer, looking for a basic product line. It's going to have matching bottles. It's always going to look full on their shelf, always going to be clean. I don't know that they represent the best value in a product line, because there are brands out there like Armor and DIY Detail that offer some of the things that you use more often in gallons. I would like to see the wheel cleaner in a gallon. The Nano Magic shampoo I would probably like to see in a gallon as well, because I think that you're going to go through those reasonably often. The rest of them, the cockpit care, the quick detailer, the insect and dirt remover, those all have their purpose. And I don't think that you're going to go through quite as much of those as you will the general shampoo and the wheel cleaner. Now, obviously, Nano Magic shampoo is available in a 1 liter bottle, but it doesn't match. It is also available in larger quantities in their professional line, so you could theoretically get one of those and just refill this bottle when you wanted to, put a little squirt top on here to fill up your foam cannon, etc. Reactive wheel cleaner there isn't a larger version of. That's a bummer, but it did work very well. It just, you're going to go through a lot of it, unfortunately. The Shine Speed Polish doesn't even mention a polisher on it. They're not expecting you to have a polisher. Again, consumer, prosumer type of person who is just trying to clean their own car and have a shiny vehicle that looks good, you know, from a couple feet away. The leather care worked fine. I like the matte appearance. It's strange for me to not have a specific leather cleaner, leather protectant, and just to have it all in one product, but that's what they did here. I think that it provided a nice matte surface. I don't mind it at all. We'll see how long it holds up, but you know, it worked reasonably well. None of these had a fantastic scent or aroma, so when you're using them, they are not great to use, but they are not bad to use either. The only one that smells bad is the wheel cleaner, and most wheel cleaners do smell bad. Armor is really the only one who's ever been able to make an iron removing wheel cleaner actually smell decent. Products that I'm going to hang on to for myself, I'm going to hang on to Speed Glass Cleaner and Multi Interior Cleaner. I want to spend a little bit more time testing these against some other products that I have and just doing a little bit of A to B. I really like Armor Detail Supply Pilot, so I want to run Multi-Interior Cleaner against Pilot and see, go back and forth a little bit, which one's better. I think that they're both pretty close. Speed Glass Cleaner is a really good glass cleaner. It's one of the best glass cleaners I've ever used. I honestly really, really like the product. But I do have Bilthamber Traceless coming here soon. And from what I understand, Traceless is also like one of the best glass cleaners ever made. So I want to test the two of them together as well. So I'm going to hang on to these two. The rest of these are probably going to end up on secondhand detailing, or if somebody hits me up an email, then they could buy them from me if they want to, test them out, try them out. I'll be, you know, blowing them out at a discount. The product line certainly isn't bad. Like I mentioned in the previous video and earlier in this one, it is Germanness in its effectiveness. It feels very German. It is effective. It does what it needs to do. The leather cleaner doesn't need to smell good. It just needs to do what it's supposed to do, and it does that. I just don't know if it makes sense in the current market to use this line of products where Armor Detail Supply and DIY Detail both have pretty complete lines of products that smell better, have a little bit better user experience, are available in larger quantities for the products that you're going to use more often, which makes them more cost effective. Have, you know, the social media and all of that around them that teaches you how to use their products. It does feel like these are a little bit older and maybe are a little bit closer to extinction. But again, every single one of them was effective. I'm not trashing Koch Chemie here. I think that they make good products. They distilled their line of 60, 70 products, however many they have in their professional line, down to 10 that were ready to use for consumers. I think that's actually pretty cool because some of the lines can be a little daunting when you're looking at products that are designed for professionals, having all these dilution ratios and measurement apparatus and different things like that can be a little bit much for your average consumer to figure out and manage on a day in, day out basis. But for me, you know, if my dad, my uncle, you know, my neighbor asked me, hey, what should I buy for my shelf? My answer right now is still Armor or DIY Detail. Those would be like my 1A and, you know, my 1 and 1.5. I like Armor's overall product line a little bit better than DIY Detail's overall product line. But DIY Detail has a polish and Armor does not. So if you have somebody that's looking to polish, that is obviously a better line. And I haven't tested out either of their highest end ceramic products yet. I have a C6 here from DIY Detail, and I also have the Armor Pro. So I am going to test those out, and that'll more finalize that recommendation in my mind. That's all for today. I thank you for watching. I hope that you'll subscribe. I hope that you'll have a great day. If you have any interest in these or any of the other products that you've seen on my channel, if you have interest in a Improved Garage shirt, I wear them in a lot of the videos. Hit me up, Jeff at improvedgarage.com, or just go to improvedgarage.com, improved-garage.com. I'm willing to, you know, sell any of the products that I've tested out in the past and you know, give a good deal on them, because I just don't need all of the stuff that I have laying around at this point. And I've got 3 or 4 more lines of products to test. So the next line we're going to test is Purist. I think Purist is going to just be one video because I only have a couple of their products. So we're going to go through those next, try them out. That should be next week or 2 weeks from today. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.